Call the meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Councilman Cooper.
Here.
Councilwoman Gregory.
Present.
Councilwoman Cruz.
Here.
Councilman McDaniel.
Present.
Councilman Horn.
Present.
Councilman Culp.
Here.
Mayor Morwolf.
Present.
7 present, none absent.
Please stand and join in the Pledge of Allegiance. We begin tonight with a proclamation. If I could have Mary Garrison come to the podium, please.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Mary Garrison. I'm the President and CEO of Heritage Behavioral Health Center. And I am here tonight to read a proclamation because March is Problem Gambling Month. And Heritage provides a range of services for addictions, and one of those is problem gambling. So we have 2 licensed clinicians that can work with individuals who are struggling with that type of addiction. And we do screenings on a daily basis for folks who come into our agency. So I'll go ahead and read the proclamation. Official proclamation, City of Decatur, Illinois. Whereas the National Council on Problem Gambling, State of Illinois, and Heritage Behavioral Health Center has designated March 2026 as Problem Gambling Awareness Month. And whereas Problem Gambling Month is a public health issue affecting millions of Americans of all ages, races, and ethnic backgrounds. And whereas problem gambling has a significant societal and economic cost for individuals, families, and businesses and communities, and has cost residents of Decatur over $4.5 million in monetary losses. Whereas problem gambling is treatable and treatment is effective in minimizing this harm to both individuals and society as a whole. Whereas numerous individuals, professionals, and organizations have dedicated their efforts of the education of the public about problem gambling and the availability and effectiveness of treatment. Whereas the National Council on Problem Gambling and Heritage Behavioral Health Center invite all residents of Decatur, Illinois, to participate in Problem Gambling Awareness Month. Therefore, I, Julie Moore Wolf, Mayor of the City of Decatur, do hereby proclaim the month of March 2026 as Problem Gambling Awareness Month in Decatur, Illinois.
And if you'd bring that up, I'd be happy to sign it. So much. We begin our meetings with appearance of citizens. Our policy relative to appearance of citizens is as follows. A 30-minute time period is provided for citizens to appear and express their views before the City Council. Each citizen speaking will be limited to one appearance of up to 3 minutes. No immediate response will be given by City Council or City staff members. Citizens are to give their documents, if any, to the police officer for distribution to the Council. When the Mayor determines that all persons wishing to speak in accordance with this policy have done so, members of the City Council and key staff may make comments. Does anyone wish to appear before Council tonight? So please come to the podium and give us your name.
My name is Verlin Rosenberger. I'm just representing myself tonight. Yesterday afternoon, Jennifer Gunter, Director of the Decatur Watershed Management, presented a very impressive PowerPoint talk to Decatur Audubon, telling many ways her organization is working to protect the water in Lake Decatur. The amount of money from federal, state, and other grants, the amount of time and effort to connect with farmers to encourage their participation, and the work of installing riprap to prevent erosion along gullies and streams are all just really amazing. Keeping nutrients and topsoil from entering the lake is no easy task. And how much money and time did the city take to dredge the Lake Decatur with really good results? Now more boating, fishing, and installing fish habitats are a good sign of a healthy lake. Now, all of this work will be for naught when ADM CO2 sequestration experiment eventually pollutes Lake Decatur. and then it plumes into nearby streams that feed into the lake and into farmers' ponds and wells. You agreed to a 99-year lease with ADM without ADM telling you of their leaks and their accidents. What else have they not told you that you will later wish they had? What are you going to do to protect the water? I urge you to have a study session, get out those red binders that you were given weeks ago, and then rescind that agreement before it's too late. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Does anyone else wish to appear before council at this time?
Good evening, Council. Happy winter. We're back again. So this evening I'm going to tell you, Millikan University has been the crown jewel of the West End for 125 years. We certainly owe it to them to listen to what they have this evening to present for you to vote on. They're the anchor of the West End of Millikan Heights, which happens to be my neighborhood, but also of the historic district. Millikan employs hundreds of people. They bring thousands of students here. They also bring thousands of visitors, whether it's parents, families, visitors looking to see if they want to bring their children here to Millikan. And all of those people spend money here. So that means they buy gas, they go to the restaurants, they shop at the stores, they go to the popcorn shop, they support the West End businesses. That's very important for you to think about this evening. But one thing that I'm going to ask of you tonight, I'm hoping that you are going to vote yes for the bond issue, is I really think it's up to the city and the city manager to make it very clear to our citizens. You're not writing a check for millions of dollars this evening to Millikan. So you need to be very good at telling the story, because I can tell you right now, our citizens honestly believe you're going to write a check to them instead of fix their road or do something else for the community. So I certainly hope that you do a good job at telling the story, because you owe that to Millikan. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Owens. Does anyone else wish to appear before council tonight?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name is Brett Robertson. It's rare that you get something that comes before you that everybody benefits from, right? And tonight you get to do that with this revenue bond from Millikan. The taxpayers won't pay a penny. The city won't pay a penny. You won't even have to guarantee anything. You're a pass-through that allows Millikan to borrow using a municipal bond structure. Everybody wins. Even the lenders win, because they don't have to pay taxes on their revenue. So I hope you'll be able to explain that to the constituents who are concerned that somehow Millikan's going to get free money or something. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Robertson. Does anyone else wish to appear? Okay, seeing none, we will move on. First, I'm sorry, does anyone on council have any comments? Seeing none, we will move on to approval of the minutes.
Approval of minutes of March 2nd, 2026 City Council meeting. I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Cooper.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gregory.
Aye.
Councilwoman Cruz.
Aye.
Councilman McDaniel.
Aye.
Councilman Horn.
Aye.
Councilman Colt.
Aye.
Mayor Marwolf.
Aye.
7 ayes, no nays.
Any unfinished business?
None.
Moving into new business, our first item is the treasurer's financial report. Ms. Hahn?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm just going to provide some highlights from the Treasurer's Financial Report for February of 2026. The City General Fund ended the reporting period with a cash position of $19.2 million. This is slightly below the 75-day cash reserve target of $20.4 million, but we are very early, obviously, in the fiscal year, so we anticipate that we'll probably make that up shortly. I did also want to highlight on page 4 of the report that we are trending very positively, and to date revenue streams developing favorably for sales tax revenues, utility tax, state PPRT, and other minor tax streams. And then also the tax levy should be certified, is expected to be certified for the tax levy of $16.7 million. That should be certified within the next 45 days.
Any questions from council on the treasurer's report? Pat?
Again, thank you for keeping us abreast of what's happening over in Springfield, because that really has a big, important part of our budgets and what we may have to cut back or whatever. So I appreciate that.
Anyone else? Okay, before we move to the next item, Dr. Horn, did you have a statement?
Thank you, Mayor. I will be recusing myself from the public hearing and the ordinance associated with the issuance of the sale of revenue bonds, as I am a biology professor at Millikan University, and as is common practice, I'll now exit the chambers.
Be sure to come back. So moving on to item 2, notice of public hearing, an ordinance authorizing the issuance and sale of 1, revenue bonds, Millikan University, Series 2026A, and 2, taxable revenue bonds, Millikan University, Series 2026B of the City of Decatur, Macon County, Illinois, in an aggregate principal not to exceed $53 million, authorizing the execution and delivery of a loan agreement, a trust indenture, a bond purchase agreement, and related documents, and authorizing the distribution of a preliminary official statement and an official statement, and authorizing certain related matters. And that brings me to the public hearing. As mayor, I open the public hearing and ask if there are any members of the public in attendance with respect to this hearing. This public hearing is being held pursuant to the notice that was provided as required by Section 147F of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 as amended. The notice was published in the Herald and Review on March 7th, 2026. The purpose of this hearing is to permit the public to express their views in person or in writing regarding the proposed plan by the City of Decatur, Macon County, Illinois, the city, to issue its revenue bonds, Millikan University, in 1 or more series, and in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $53 million, the bonds, pursuant to a plan of finance. The proceeds of the bonds will be loaned to Millikan University, Millikan, an Illinois not-for-profit corporation, to provide Millikan with all or a portion of the funds necessary to 1, refund all or a portion of a taxable loan provided to Millikan in 2024 by Raymond James, Inc., the proposed proceeds of which were used to retire the outstanding County of Macon, Illinois revenue bonds, Millikan University, Series 2014, 2, refund all or a portion of a taxable loan provided to Millikan in 2024 by Busey Bank, the proceeds of which were used to retire the outstanding County of Macon, Illinois revenue bonds, Millikan University, Series 2010. 3, finance or reimburse all or a portion of the costs of constructing, renovating, remodeling, expanding, rehabilitating, furnishing, and equipping the educational facilities owned by Millikan, all located on Millikan's Decatur, Illinois campus. 4, fund a debt service reserve fund for the benefit of the bonds. 5, fund a portion of the interest accruing on the bonds if deemed desirable by Millikan. 6, fund working capital reserves of Millikan if deemed desirable by Millikan. And 7, pay certain costs relating to the issuance of the bonds if deemed desirable by Millikan. All interested persons wishing to contend or protest against the issuance of the bonds may now be heard. Does anyone wish to be heard? So that moves to written statements, which written statements will be considered. Does anyone have written statements they would like to provide to the council? Seeing none, there being no comments from any members of the public at the hearing today, this public hearing is hereby adjourned. Now we will move on to item 3, ordinance authorizing the issuance and sale of 1, revenue bonds, Millikan University, Series 2026A, and 2, taxable revenue bonds, Millikan University, Series 2026B, of the City of Decatur, Macon, Illinois, and Macon County, Illinois, in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $53 million, authorizing the execution and delivery of a loan agreement, a trust indenture, a bond purchase agreement, and related documents, and authorizing the distribution of a preliminary official statement and an official statement, and authorizing certain related matters.
Motion that the ordinance do pass and be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Hahn?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I wanted to provide for the public this evening that this item is a request for the city to be a conduit for the bond issuance. And what that means is that the city is not held liable for the issuance of this debt. The city is indemnified. So the city will not be taking on the debt of these bonds being issued. We are just the conduit. This is not an unheard of thing. It has been done previously by the city. We have been a conduit for other organizations in the past, so this is not something new. But just to kind of help clarify that to the public, it will also not impact the city's credit rating, and it also will not impact our ability to borrow should we later need to issue bonds for capital improvements or infrastructure improvements. So as I said, it is not the city being held liable for this debt. We are just being the conduit, not going to negatively impact the city's credit rating or our ability to borrow. And with that, I will go ahead and ask Millikan University President Dean Pribenow to now come up and make any comments and answer any questions. And then also Jeff White from Columbia Capital.
Excellent. Well, good evening. For those of you, again, who may not know me, I'm Dean Pribenow. I'm president of Millikan University, and I've been in this role for 8.5 months, and delighted to be here tonight. I want to thank you, Mayor, City Manager Melissa Hahn, City Council, Greg Zintera, who also was an important part of helping us get to this evening. So, Millikan is Decatur's university, and Decatur is Millikan's home. Since I arrived, I've been talking at every chance I can about the critical importance of this relationship between the university and the city, and have often said, as goes Millikan, so goes Decatur, and as goes Decatur, so goes Millikan. We are intrinsically linked. And the notice of this public hearing and some of the comments and questions that have come about from it has I'm always open to learning important lessons, and one of them is we need to be much better about telling the story of Millikan in terms of its impact. And so I asked to have put at each of your seats one of these statements. It's a summary of Millikan University's economic and social impact. It doesn't cover everything. This comes from the Federation of Independent Illinois Colleges and Universities. It's a tool that they produce for all the private universities and colleges in the state. And this helps to, I think, highlight some of the critical contributions that we make. If we are an anchor institution, as Ms. Owen said earlier, we have a responsibility. And part of that responsibility is to bring our strengths and our resources and our assets to improve not just the West End, but the entire city and region, and we believe that we do that. Before I arrived, actually, back in June, we started a process of developing a plan of finance, and we identified Columbia Capital Management and Jeff White and his team as being partners in helping us develop this plan of finance, which has brought us here tonight. And I'd like to just have Jeff come up and offer a brief comment or two about this before we take any questions.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, good evening. As Dean mentioned, I serve as municipal advisor for the university. And I really just want to echo the comments that the city manager made a moment ago. The ordinance before you tonight authorizes the city to serve as a conduit issuer. And that is a special term of art, and it's important. 501c3 organizations that are borrowing within their exempt purpose for capital goods and other items are allowed under the federal tax code to access the tax-exempt municipal bond market, but they can't do it directly. Unlike a city or a county or a state They can't issue bonds in their own name and have those be tax exempt. They have to work through a governmental entity like the city. Historically, Milliken has worked with both Macon County and the city of Decatur to be its issuer over time. And the reason we're here before you tonight is based upon the advice of bond counsel Chapman and Cutler. They believe that the plan of finance, Mayor, that you took about 45 minutes to read through the 17 things we're financing with this transaction, requires the city's home rule issuance authority. And so that's why we're here before you tonight, and that's why your role in this is so important. Critically, though, the city's role here is just to facilitate the transaction. You've heard this 3 or 4 times, but I think it bears repeating one more time if you would indulge me just a little bit. So Milliken bears all responsibility, 100%, without equivocation of the repayment of the bonds and all the associated costs with the transaction. The city is not using its general obligation authority. It is not extending its own credit to the university. These bonds will stand on the credit quality of the university itself, not on the credit quality of the city. The city has no financial liability in the transaction. As the city manager noted, Milliken agrees to indemnify the city for any costs associated with the bonds. That'll be in the contract documents between the university and the city. If passed tonight, the ordinance would allow the city to enter into the bond market, the municipal bond market, on the university's behalf, subject to parameters that are set forth in the ordinance. The reason that we've established those parameters is we haven't gone to the bond market yet. We need your approval to do that. We have a few more weeks of work to do to get ready to do that. What we hope to avoid is to have to come back to this body. And so those parameters are set in such a way that we can go up to those parameters. For instance, one of those would be the issuance amount of $53 million. We don't anticipate taking advantage of all $53 million of that authority. We've set that number high. We expect today, if we were in the market today, we'd be sub $50 million on the issuance. What we don't want to have happen is, again, to find another slot on your agenda and take your time to amend that document that you've got before you. So again, no city credit support, no city financial obligation or risk. Milliken pays the principal and interest on the bonds. It pays the professionals, bond counsel, advisors, things like that, to execute on the bonds. As the city manager noted, really importantly, no impact on the city's credit rating, no impact on your ability to finance your own capital improvement program going forward. You are providing an incredibly important civic responsibility for an important employer in the community, and we can't take advantage of the tax-exempt bond market without your help. So with that, Madam Mayor, I'm very happy to try to answer any questions that you or your colleagues might have.
Certainly, and thank you for that. Any questions from council? Councilman Cooper?
Just a couple questions. Thanks for coming tonight. First off, for me, it's a bit difficult. I certainly agree with everything that we need to support Milliken University in our city. And we have had a long-term involvement with the college, and I hope we can continue to have a long-term relationship with the college. So I'm definitely not in favor of disbanding that. However, on this issue, I do have some questions that makes it difficult to vote here tonight on such a matter. One, on not having basically less than a week for us, not your fault, to review the language. And that's very difficult to have such a high profile item and not really having ample time to actually review it totally and discuss it with constituents and all that. So that's a high concern of mine. My question is, I know you say the city would be indemnified from any issues, but I guess one question I have is, and I've heard that obviously if it was to go down, something would default on it or whatever, nothing prevents the city from being still listed in a lawsuit. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And with that, if that indeed is correct, obviously there is a possibility that the city could spend funds through legal means to have to legally get legal counsel to address any legal action that may be taken against the city. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So I don't want the public to think that we may not have to use city funds at some point in time if that was to happen. And there probably would be some very costly city funds. So I don't want that to go unnoticed. Regarding the 53 million, I know it's set at that particular level, hopefully not to go higher than that. If I'm reading the contract correctly in the last couple of days, it appears in it that the council, right, if we approve this tonight, we're giving the mayor the authority to, if there needs to be any amendments or changes made to that contract, the mayor would have that exclusive right to do it without it coming back before the council. And if I'm reading that correctly, you can let me know if I am or not. But I think that is not correct to do. I think if there's something that's going to go over this 53 million, it needs to come back to the council for review. So those are my concerns. I really believe we should table it tonight for a later council date, just to give still more time to review this overall plan, so that we're safe, that we're making the correct decision on such a new thing that I know it's been done in the past, but it's not been done with all current members of this council. And I think it's such of a degree that we need to take time to make sure we're making the right decision. One of the members in the citizen just talked about the 99-year easement with ADM, which I know is not part of this, but it could be a similar thing. If you don't really look at everything totally, I don't want to make a mistake on a vote. So that's my comments.
Madam Mayor, may I just address a couple comments?
Sure.
You are right, sir, that bond investors in a default situation could sue the city, but they generally don't. And the reason they don't is because they know that the issuer in these conduit situations doesn't have any financial duty. So in a default situation, I have two city government clients today where they issued bonds on behalf of nonprofits in their community, and those transactions went into default. Mechanically, what happens is the bond investors end up working with the bond trustee to try to take actions under the bond documents to get money back. So they're not going to waste a lot of time making the city's life miserable, because they'd be squeezing blood from a turnip in that case. They're going to work with the folks that have the ability to get them repaid. And my client's experience in those situations where those bonds are in default is the city has basically spent no money and zero staff time dealing with that situation. The city gets copied on communications that go on between the bondholders and the bond trustee, but that's really where the rubber meets the road in that particular case. These conduit transactions happen incredibly frequently, and the bond investors that are likely to purchase these bonds are going to be household mutual fund names that you would recognize if I name them to you. And again, they're not going to spend their time coming after the city because there's no recourse to the city. If the city were to incur any legal fees, the contract between Milliken and the city indicates that the city would be reimbursed for those costs. And you would say, okay, well, Milliken's in default, otherwise, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But the documents provide for what's known as a flow of funds, which talks about, of the monies that are available, who gets repaid for what, and the transaction costs associated with the work of the trustee and the work of the issuer get paid before the bond investors do in that default situation. So I feel very confident, and most conduit issuers do, otherwise they wouldn't undertake these transactions to begin with, that the city's not going to be out meaningful dollars or meaningful time, which is important as well, dealing with the situation which we, of course, hope would never come to pass. Thank you.
Councilman Cooper, did you want to make a motion to table?
Yes, Mayor, I still would like to make a motion to table this until our next meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman Cooper,
Aye.
Councilwoman Gregory,
No.
Councilwoman Cruz,
Aye.
Councilman McDaniel,
No.
Councilman Culp,
No.
Mayor Marwolf.
No.
2 ayes, 4 nays.
Are there additional questions for the folks from Milliken, from council? Seeing none, call the question, please. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilwoman Gregory.
I don't have any questions. I do have comments, though. Anne was right. We have to tell the story. And we've used a lot of language up here, a lot of legalese. So I just see if I can boil it down. These are not taxpayer dollars that we're using. End of story. I am pleased that we have the opportunity to be that conduit to assist Milliken. When I think about the city not being able to assist in this manner, the outcomes for me are not pleasant. And so I am glad that we have an opportunity to help Milliken continue to grow and thrive and be vibrant in our community.
Other comments or questions? Ms. Cruz?
I definitely support Milliken, but I received this agreement 5 days ago, and I think that's not smart, just to make a decision from receiving these documents 5 days ago, and I'm sure that you would agree with that as well. I'm wondering if you met with any council members or when you initially met with the city, because we initially met last Monday to discuss this.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, we had initial contact with staff in December to start the conversation about the opportunity for the city to issue bonds on our behalf. And staff was very clear that they would need ample time to review documents, to have internal conversations. The documents that you see before you were delivered to the city in substantially final form about a month ago. So we've worked very cooperatively with your staff team to make sure that they had significant opportunity to review those documents, raise any questions, ask questions of us, which they did, a number of questions. And so I certainly appreciate the challenge that you have in looking at a complex topic with just less than a week's notice. However, I would like you to feel very comfortable that we have been working very closely with your staff. They have asked a lot of very good questions. The university had an opportunity to meet with the finance director directly. He had a number of very detailed questions. We worked through financial information, operational information. And so I appreciate the challenge. Your packet tonight is almost 400 pages. You have a big challenge in front of you. Every time that you come together to take action on items like this. But I do want you to feel confident that we've been working closely with the staff team to make sure that this item did not sneak up on them in any way, shape, or form. And I do believe that collectively the city team has had ample time to review all this information.
And I will add that Greg Zatara has put a lot of time and energy into this with a lot of due diligence that is much deeper on a financial level than I'm certainly qualified to look, and I have a lot of faith in his abilities. And he has been very cautious in going through line by line and decimal by decimal, and our city manager has as well. So,
Could you address what Cooper talked about, where you would have the authority to revise?
I
Sorry.
believe it comes back to council.
It would. Any of those changes, if we got to any of those parameters, we would have to come back. The mayor's authority extends to the hundreds of pages of bond documents that the city will be signing off on. We will make changes to those documents as we go through the pricing process and as bond investors choose to participate or not to participate. There are a number of blanks in those documents today because we don't know the final interest rates. We don't know the final term, all those kinds of
And
things.
if you needed another $5 or $10 million, I'm not authorized without council's approval to move forward.
100%.
Yes, I meant to address that as well. So, other comments or questions? Please call the question.
Councilman Cooper,
Aye.
Councilwoman Gregory,
Aye.
Councilwoman Cruz,
Aye.
Councilman McDaniel,
Aye.
Councilman Culp,
Aye.
Mayor Moore-Wolf.
Aye.
6 ayes, 1 recusal.
And at this time, we would like to welcome Councilman Horn back to the dais. And we will move to item 4, discussion item 2025 Community Revitalization Survey results. Ms. Hahn?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We're very excited to present to you tonight the results of the 2025 Community Revitalization Survey. I'm not going to have a lot of opening comments just because I don't want to steal Lacey's thunder. So I will go ahead and turn it over to Lacey Elzy, our Economic and Community Development Director.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Our 2025 Community Revitalization Survey, I'm just going to give a little bit of a high-level overview. So in 2019, the Economic and Community Development Department started a survey of our oldest neighborhoods in Decatur, and they did this to start measuring the impact of revitalization efforts over time. But it also allows us to help measure changes in equalized assessment value, condition changes of the structures, and the overall or indicators of health for each of the neighborhoods. So with that, like I said, it was started in 2019. Today, we survey 19 neighborhoods, but when we started in 2019, we only had 17 neighborhoods that we surveyed, so we added one each iteration. So this community survey happens every 3 years. In 2022, there were 18 neighborhoods surveyed. This iteration, 19. So today, over the summer, in 2025, there were over 14,628 parcels surveyed, which is quite the undertaking. That is a complete area of 41% of all of Decatur's parcels. So staff did an excellent job on getting this data. The survey is really quite simple. So even though it looks complicated, and I know you guys can all really see exactly what this says. So staff, we have an app on our GIS map, and whenever staff comes to a parcel, questions are asked. The very first question is there a structure? If not, no, they get to move on to the next one. If yes, it goes through a series of facade questions. And those questions are, is the lot overgrown? Is there damage to the roof, damage to the siding, damage to doors or windows, or is there damage to the porch? And so all of that is then fed in to our data points. And the data that we analyze for each neighborhood are the structural conditions, changes in the structural conditions from 2022 to 2025, the percent changes in the property values, and then how many demolitions and rehabs were done in those areas. And all of the data can be found at this link, which is arcg.is/Zuxoo.
And will that link be available on our website, since that's not real easy to remember?
I know. Yes, it is. It is posted on the website, and we have posted on Facebook, so everybody can go and see the data, which I encourage you to do because the dashboard is really neat. It's interactive, and it gives a lot of great visuals as far as the work that's been done in these areas. So, some positive findings that we found were that most structural condition indicators remain low, at or below 11%. And all that means is that most of our neighborhoods are not experiencing widespread distress. That's not saying that there isn't structural distress in them, just overall, out of these 18 neighborhoods, we're starting to see some stabilization, which is really good. On these maps, darker areas are experiencing higher levels of worsening conditions. Lighter colors means that conditions have improved, which is good because we're seeing a lot more lighter areas. Most neighborhoods experienced between 2022 and 2025 did experience total growth of equalized assessed value between 10 and 20%. So that breaks down to annual increases of in between 4 and 8%, which exceeds the inflation trends. So that's good because it indicates that there has been a measurable tax-based growth in these areas. And then when we start talking about investment, where we have done demolitions and rehabilitations, we kind of highlighted these neighborhoods. So projects per structure investment in Milliken Heights and Lincoln Park had a really good, how do I want to put this? They had good results. So what we see is based on the number of demolitions and rehabilitations that occurred in those areas, you saw a correlation of the condition score becoming better and then the equalized assessed value becoming higher. And that means revitalization efforts do have an effect. So where we've invested the most, though, are in other neighborhoods. So we have focused from 2022 to 2025 in our northwest and south side neighborhoods. And so you saw higher amounts of demolitions on the first slide, 31 total in those bubbles. And then on the second one, 47 rehabilitations in those areas. And then we go on to where there's still need. So what we did find data-wise was that there are still neighborhoods that require more investment in them, and those focused on the northeast, central, and near east side neighborhoods. So this has also given us data to evaluate the revitalization plan strategy. And what we have found there is that our current policy priorities with the revitalization plan are neighborhood level approach, focus on marketing, housing planning, and process, emphasizing small business and homeowner engagement. And although those will still be priorities, we have been looking at adapting and including in more of a regional core district approach. A lot of the neighborhoods that we looked at focusing on have surrounding neighborhoods that needed attention. So for instance, Jasper Street corridor is one of those. The Torrance Park neighborhood still needs attention. We talked about the Martin Luther King Jr. area. The Wabash Crossing area is an area that needs attention. And then, so looking at that, going to be bringing back some additions to the revitalization plan. And I think some of our other key takeaways are that with some of the condition scores, like we saw a high number of doors, windows, siding, and then roof, respectively, issues on the condition score. And what that tells us is that we are headed in the right direction with a lot of our programs for the grant funds by addressing roofs, getting in the lead grant programs, and addressing facade. So with that, take any questions.
Nice work. Questions from council? Pat?
There was a recent discussion on WLS housing and that. The number of houses that we've in some of these neighborhoods, because I've been to a lot of them when we introduced them. How many of those are the original people that ended up getting them still live there?
You're talking about the rehabilitation grant
Right.
recipients. I do not have that information readily available.
Okay. As I've always said, I'm all for filling up our housing as long as they're financially able to handle it. And what was brought out in the discussion on WLS, they can get down payments, for their down payment. But if they don't have the money for that, then how are they going to keep the house up? So there's always been my concern. I want to fill them, but we're not helping people, putting them in homes that they can't financially maintain. And then they lose it, and then their credit goes down. But I'm glad what we're doing, as long as we're getting some good data that it's working well.
Other comments or questions from council? Dr. Horn?
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Elsie, more of comments than questions, but first of all, kudos to you and your team. You've been working very hard, and it's always exciting to see when those scores improve, right? And that is what we're consistently seeing from 2019 through today. So kudos to that. My comments are more related to the community revitalization plan necessarily than what's been presented here. But the first one is Decatur Public Schools recently published a demographics study, and that demographics study had some recommendations, had some projections for different neighborhoods that might be in distress. And I think it'd be important to look at the neighborhoods that DPS is projecting to be in distress and connect that with our revitalization efforts. As you mentioned, and I think this is a good idea, is linking our neighborhood improvements to see if we are seeing reduction in criminal activity in those enhanced neighborhoods. I mean, we certainly saw a reduction in criminal activity in the Johns Hill neighborhood after we did some significant work to improve that neighborhood, and my prediction would be that we'd see the same thing here. But there's still, as you know, perhaps more than anyone, there's still work to be done, right? Because I know that you added the West End neighborhood to look at its particular level of blight. And my recollection is that it had about a 0.1 or 10% blight score. And if you look at the urban core neighborhoods, some of those original neighborhoods, 17 of those 18 neighborhoods have a blight score over 10%. And 8 of those 18 neighborhoods have blight scores above 0.3 or 30%. And so I think as you think about the community revitalization plan, you might think about some more specific targets or metrics. How can we get every neighborhood to a blight score below, let's say, 0.25 to start, and then how can we get that down to 0.15, and then to meet that equivalent of the West End neighborhood at some point in time. And I think some more community-wide metrics might really be the catalyst for some significant citywide improvements. Thank you.
Other comments or questions from council? Councilwoman Cruz?
We talked about the poverty rate being documented in neighborhoods in Decatur being greater than the average in the state, higher. Were you able to find which neighborhoods were being referenced in that study?
We did not link those to this study at this time, so we are still looking into that.
Other comments, questions? Pat?
Well, I was going to say, having been born and raised in Decatur and lived in, 9 different neighborhoods, some of them were going down, and even in the 1960s. So we just, it's going to take time to bring some of these areas up. If there's, we've talked about one of the areas where most of the houses are gone, spending money in that, limited funds, would not be good, but we just need to pinpoint where we're investing in some of these neighborhoods that have a chance to come back.
Don't see any other comments, but thank you for that report. It's encouraging. That brings us to the city manager's update.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. If we can go to the first slide, just got some updates. The first one is on the City Council Community Grant Program. This is the application timeline. So the application is currently available on the website. You can find that at decaturil.gov/community grants. Also, paper copies can be obtained in the Economic and Community Development Department here at the Civic Center. So if anybody would like to get a paper copy, they can come to the office and pick that up. The application, as I said, is available. The acceptance window will open on April 13th, and that will remain open until the 17th. So right now, organizations can come get the application. They can determine what supporting documentation they'll need to gather. So between now and April 13th, this will allow them that window to ask staff any follow-up questions, and then also get all of the documentation that they'll need in order to submit their application. So the window will open April 13th through the 17th, and then staff will begin reviewing those applications beginning on the 20th, and then we'll give an update to council of when those will be given to council for evaluation. And so we've got a contact here, Aaron Eubanks, for more information, or if there are any follow-up questions from applicants, they can reach out to Aaron in the Economic and Community Development Department Grants Division. Next slide, please. We are encouraging everybody to please go out and complete the Illinois Housing Development Authority survey. They are currently doing a housing blueprint survey that will guide the development of the statewide housing plan. This could potentially lead to more grant funding for our community, so we please encourage everybody to complete that survey. And then this was just an update on lake levels and the drought. So we are currently today, as of today, we are at 613.7. which is our roughly our normal summer level. So normally we're somewhere between 613.5 to 614.2. And for everybody wanting regular updates, staff has been doing an amazing job keeping this updated. So you can go to our website, go to the water department, and then you'll find a drought on the left-hand side, and you can follow along as we get more storms and hopefully plenty of rain. Next slide, please. Also, just wanted to highlight again our contactless fare system that is launching today in our transit, all of our transit vehicles. And so the new Decatur Transit Pay app is available on Apple and Google. You can find it online at decaturtransitpay.com. And so this will be changing in all of our buses that currently accept other fares. We will accept cash fares and any remaining monthly passes or punch cards for several months during the transition, but eventually we'll transition away from those. But we'll keep the public posted on when that will be.
All right, that brings us to the consent calendar. Does anyone on council wish to remove any of the items for individual consideration? Dr. Horn?
A, I, and N.
Anyone else? Okay.
Item B, ordinance authorizing the City of Decatur, Macon County, Illinois, to borrow funds from the Public Water Supply Loan Program through the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency for the galvanized water service line replacement city project 2025-20. Item C, resolution accepting the bid and authorizing the execution of a contract with Commercial Electric, Inc. for the Grand and Condit Stormwater Pump Station Electrical Improvements City Project 2025-15. Item D, resolution accepting the bid and authorizing the execution of a contract with A&R Mechanical Services DBA A&R Services, Inc. for the South Taylorville Road Water Main Replacement Project, City Project 2024-16. Item E, resolution authorizing a professional engineering services agreement with Clark Dietz, Inc. to provide construction engineering service for the South Taylorville Road Water Main Replacement Project, City Project 2024-16. Item F, resolution authorizing a source wealth contract for the purchase of one Robo Mighty mower. Item G, resolution authorizing a cash rent farm lease with Andy Freeland for Oakley Sediment Basin Farm. Item H, resolution authorizing Lake Decatur Watershed Farmland Conservation Program Agreement for floodplain reconnection wetlands with Lawrence H. Shackelford Trust. Item J, resolution approving bid with Gibbsco Construction Company for interior remodel at 1170 North Orchard Building. Item K, resolution approving bid with Apex Electrical Solutions, Inc. for electrical service at 1170 North Orchard Building. Item L, resolution authorizing agreement with Architectural Expressions, LLP for architectural oversight of building upgrades at 1170 North Orchard Street. Item M, resolution approving service agreement between the City of Decatur, Illinois, and Lindsay Adult Day Services, Inc. for Operation Uplift Transportation. Item O, resolution authorizing execution and agreement of fiscal year 2027 Transit Downstate Operating Grant Agreement. Item P, resolution authorizing execution and amendment of Section 5311 Grant Agreement. Item Q, resolution accepting special warranty relating to the protection of interests of employees for Transit Financial Assistance Grant. And item R, resolution or ordinance authorizing Decatur Public Transportation System to provide public transportation to Macon County. I need a motion to approve the items as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Cooper.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gregory.
Aye.
Councilwoman Cruz.
Aye.
Councilman McDaniel.
Aye.
Councilman Horn.
Aye.
Councilman Colt.
Aye.
Mayor Morwolf.
Aye.
7 ayes, no nays. Ordinance amending City Code Chapter 55.1, mobile food units, temporary vendor stands, and food and beverage carts. Motion that the ordinance do pass and be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Horn?
City Manager Hahn, so as I understand it, all food trucks currently, whether they are mobile or stationary, are inspected by the Macon County Health Department. But if we were to approve this amendment, the City of Decatur would also be able to ensure that the food trucks are in compliance with the International Fire Code and the Building Code. Is that fair to say?
Well, I guess I just want to clarify that all those that are registered currently could be inspected by both. So this is just correcting the language for those that may have a food truck that is sitting stationary with on their property, that they have to register, so that we do have the ability to inspect.
Okay, so the issue we're trying to solve here is currently there are food trucks that are parked that are not registered at all. Is that correct?
Correct.
Mr. Cooper?
And correct me if I'm, then that registration, depending on what time of year they register, is either $50 or $25. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Any other comments? Seeing none?
Councilman Cooper.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gregory.
Aye.
Councilwoman Cruz.
Aye.
Councilman McDaniel.
Aye.
Councilman Horn.
Aye.
Councilman Colt.
Aye.
Mayor Morwolf.
Aye.
7 ayes, no nays. Resolution approving a grant agreement between the State of Illinois and the City of Decatur for funding through the fiscal year 2026 camera grant. Motion that the resolution do pass and be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Horn?
Yeah, I just want to congratulate the City of Decatur on receiving a $1.97 million grant that is going to reimburse the costs for body cameras, in-car video cameras, and data storage. You know, I remember a few months ago when we were thinking about the additional costs that it was going to be to use Axon as our provider, and we said, yes, we're going to do it. And just a few months later, we are now receiving a $1.97 million grant. So thank you, Decatur Police Department and staff, for everything you do, but also for getting the funding for this.
Other comments? Call the question.
Councilman Cooper.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gregory.
Aye.
Councilwoman Cruz.
Aye.
Councilman McDaniel.
Aye.
Councilman Horn.
Aye.
Councilman Colt.
Aye.
Mayor Marwolf.
Aye.
7 ayes, no nays. Resolution approving bid with Oak Bros Tree Care and Removal for Tree Delivery and Planting for USDA Tree Grant. Motion that the resolution do pass and be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Horn?
Yeah, so it's very exciting that we're getting another 100 trees that are planted. This question is for the city manager or Ms. Elzey. Are there other way residents can get trees at a reduced cost if they want to have trees planted in their yards?
Other than this grant, I was trying to find, so these trees are being planted through this grant within the urban core and not on any private property. And for the other program, the city does have a tree grant program available, and that can be found on our website off of the main Public Works page of the website. And so we have had it for a little while and would love to see more people participating, so they can find that on our website.
So,
Councilman McDaniel?
I want to see more trees planted, but do we give, too many times trees are planted so close to sidewalks, and then as they grow, the roots kind of tear up? Or do we state how far they have to be away from a sidewalk so we don't have that problem down the road? It may not be a problem while those people live there, but down the road with the tree there, and the roots, when it starts growing, do we do anything like that? Just be proactive.
Matt can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming that, yes, we would be cognizant of where it's being placed, and then also our foresters generally do a good job with the type of tree and what's allowed, and hopefully we aren't getting those that are later kind of pulling up our infrastructure.
Are they selective on what kind of trees are planted? Years and years ago, what's the name of the tree that drops those little spiky swing? They must have got 40 years ago, they must have got a good price on them, because they fall into the gutter and down into the storm sewer. I have a neighbor that has one, well, the people that live there, and I've offered to, when I win the lottery, to cut the damn tree down, because I'm tired, they blow over into my yard all the time. So, yeah. So hopefully the forestry are not buying those trees anyplace.
Any other grumpy old man comments? David?
So I do have a sweet gum tree in my front yard, and I enjoy getting some vitamin N, some vitamin nature every fall and into the spring. But for the residents who would like a tree, the city of Decatur has a program. Well, we will reimburse 80% of the cost, up to $400, provided that you meet criteria. And so even though we're talking about this tree grant, for those who want to contribute to Decatur's being a tree city, there is an opportunity for everybody.
Call the question, please.
Councilman Cooper.
Aye.
Councilwoman Gregory.
Aye.
Councilwoman Cruz.
Aye.
Councilman McDaniel.
Aye.
Councilman Horn.
Aye.
Councilman Colt.
Aye.
Mayor Marwolf.
Aye.
7 ayes, no nays.
Moving into other business, I would just like to congratulate the family of Jim Wrigley. Jim ran the St. Patrick's Day Parade for more than 2 decades, and he We lost him a few months ago. His family stepped up and made sure Decatur had a parade, and his kids, his wife, his brothers, sisters, cousins, all joined in to make sure, along with some other volunteers, that the tradition continues, and I want to congratulate them on a job well done.
Mayor, I want to give kudos to Decatur's Victory Bowling Alley. They were able to host the recent Professional Bowlers Association National Tour event in Decatur that brought to our community nearly 100 bowlers from all over the country. And the top prize was $30,000. If I'd known that, I would have been out there. But anyway, I hope in the future that they're able to bring more of those tournaments to Decatur, because that benefits financially the city, and we love those taxes.
And the renovations at the Victory Lanes are amazing. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to be in there, but they have done a magnificent job. Councilman Cooper?
Just kudos also we had two outstanding basketball teams in Decatur, the girls and the boys from MacArthur. They both made it to sectionals and had some outstanding seasons, and we want to congratulate all of those families that were involved with those girls and those boys who are doing an outstanding job, and cheerleaders as well, and bands. We want to always support our students that are doing a good job. We hear about those that aren't doing well. Let's congratulate those that are doing well.
And we will be recognizing the MacArthur boys team and girls team. They are on spring break this week, so they are not here, but at a council meeting coming up, we will be honoring them. So anyone else? Seeing none, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Cooper?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gregory?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cruz?
Aye.
Councilman McDaniel?
Aye.
Councilman Horn?
Aye.
Councilman Colt?
Aye.
Mayor Morwolf?
Aye.
7 ayes, no nays. We are adjourned.